Welcome to day 2 of ethical behavior. Yesterday, we worked on taking notes off of Epic Books using the brands we know, Amazon. We worked specifically on citing our sources to avoid plagiarism, as well as looking for the key words to write down who, what, when, where, why, and not copying sentence verbatim. Now that you have that information, you could stop at that point and create a project. Let's do a little review using BrainPop. So here I am on ClassLink, and I'm going to use my BrainPop option here. If you have trouble getting into BrainPop, remember on our digital Bitmoji classroom here, I have it linked here, so you can always open it up. You should open it up and save this to your own computer so you have it at all times in case it is not linked on the current classroom. Going to BrainPop, I'm going to open it up, and we're going to have a little review on plagiarism. There's also on paraphrasing, copyright, and citing sources that you can watch on your own time. But here we go for plagiarism.
We're back with best-selling author and probable sociopath Moby Calrissian. Your recent book report on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was largely stolen from online sources. Is there anything you'd like to say to the American public?
Another nightmare, huh? Maybe you just need to get something off your chest. Dear Tim and Moby, I know plagiarism is cheating, but sometimes it's hard to tell if I'm actually breaking the rules. Can you help me out? From Moira. Of course we can, Moira. Plagiarism is the act of submitting someone else's work as your own. You're never allowed to use the words or ideas of other people without giving them credit. This rule applies to all subjects and classes. It doesn't matter if you're doing a science project, a book report, or even making a piece of art. Well, some instances of plagiarism are pretty obvious. Say you have to write a paper on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. You go online and find a great resource with lots of cool ideas about the book. If you copy some of the text from the site and paste it into your own paper, then hand it in just like that, well, that's a pretty clear violation. Yep, stealing from any type of source and claiming it as your own work is always plagiarism. That source could be a book, an article, an old paper your sister wrote, anything. When teachers give you assignments, they don't want you to just repeat and recap existing material or stuff you find online. They're trying to assess your understanding of the topics you're studying and see how well you can put your own original thoughts into writing. Plagiarizing someone else is like cheating off them on a test. Get caught and you'll probably get a 0 on the assignment. Or, if you're lucky, your teacher might let you rewrite it. In high school and college, punishments for plagiarism can be even more severe. You might fail the entire class, or get kicked out of school completely. It's not that you can't use magazines, books, encyclopedias, or their online versions. In fact, it's a good idea to consult all of those sources when doing papers and projects. But if you use someone else's words verbatim, meaning the exact same words, you need to put them in quotation marks. And you have to attribute or give credit to the author. One of the easiest ways to do this is to use phrases like, according to, and then add the name of your source right after. Depending on the subject, teacher, or type of assignment, you might need to use footnotes or endnotes too. Those are more formal ways to credit your sources. Footnotes show sources at the bottom of a page, and endnotes list them after a specific section or at the conclusion of your report. Sometimes you might also be required to put together a bibliography. That's a comprehensive list of all the works you consulted while researching an assignment. I was just getting to that. Many examples of plagiarism aren't obvious cut and paste jobs. Unfortunately, a lot of students wind up plagiarizing by accident. If you're not careful, key ideas from a source can easily slip into your writing. Like here, the original sentence was, "More than a scene-setting element, snow comes to symbolize death itself." And you wrote, "Lewis uses the symbol of snow to represent death." You did a good job of paraphrasing the material, putting it into your own words. But the thing is, you're still using the same basic idea, that Lewis uses snow to symbolize death. It can be tricky untangling your own ideas from your sources, so when in doubt, give credit. There are a few other important tips to guard against plagiarism. When taking notes, put big quotation marks around all direct quotes, even if it's only a few words. And write the source next to every note you take, whether it's a website, book, or article. These are pretty straightforward strategies that can help you avoid getting into any trouble. What? No way! I totally did not lift that from your, blog. Huh. Must have gotten stuck in my head from when I first read it. It was so not on purpose.
In that Brain Pop video, they did go a little more advanced than we need to do with quotation marks and things like that. But the point is that we need to cite our source and give credit and make sure we're not stealing somebody else's ideas. When researching in fourth and fifth grade and above, you also need to use more than one source. So using your resource link there on your Bitmoji classroom, I'm going to go to the World Book.
When doing research, you often need to use two sources. So for my second source, I'm going to open World Book Online because I know that's a reliable source, a paid database. Instead of going to the World Wide Web where not everything is reliable, I'm going to use this reliable source that is paid for by Hanover County. I'm going to open Students. I'm going to type in Amazon Company. And let's see if there's any information on there. Excellent. There is an article from this online encyclopedia. Again, a reliable source. I'm going to open it. And first thing I'm going to do is cite my source. So I'm going to go back to my paper here. Now, this is where I was already taking notes from the book, Brands We Know Amazon, author Sarah Green. Now I'm going to open a new paper, and the title of the article is, let me look, Amazon.com/incorporated. Let's see if there's an author from the article. There's not always an author, but let's look. Often the author would either be right here or at the bottom of the article. And here's the author. Jerice Hansen, and I'm just going to do a little shortcut here. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to go Control-C to copy it if you're on a PC. A school computer is a PC. I'm going to Control-V. So there's the author. Copyright date, there's no copyright date, but the date published or the date accessed. Since I'm using an online source, I'm going to change that to date access, meaning today. And today is November 23rd, I believe, 2020. And the source, I'm going to write down the website, which is, or the name of it, it is World Book Student, and I'm going to write online because it is an online version versus a book version. So I can actually move this out of the way, copy the URL, again, Control-C to save me time, and put it in my source. So now I have the title of the article, Amazon.com Incorporated. The author of the article is Jerice Hansen, and she has a PhD. Copyright date, which or date of access, which is today, November 23rd, 2020. The source is https://www.worldbook worldbookonline.com. So now I can start taking my notes again to avoid plagiarism, right? We want to put things in our own words. So while you're reading, you want to write down key facts, bullet points, who, what, when, where, why. Now we're using a separate source, a second source. It's sometimes I'm going to write very similar notes in here. And what happens is you're verifying your information. So just because you found it once doesn't mean you shouldn't write it down again. It is confirming that that information is correct. And if you find discrepancies, then you should look for a third source to find out, well, what is right? So here we go. You can play the voice if you want it on your own, but I'm going to go ahead and read. I'm looking for who, what, when, where, why. Amazon.com Incorporated is a major internet retailer. The company's website launched in 1995 as an online bookstore. Now, of course, they said it was started in 1994, which is maybe true. They came up with the idea, but it wasn't launched, it appears, until actually 1995. And we already knew it was a bookseller at first. So that's the who, or what they sell. Amazon has expanded to sell many types of products and services. The company manufactures the Kindle brand of ebook readers and a tablet for computers. So far, when we read in the book, I did not learn that. Now, we didn't complete the book together, but I'm going to add that to my what they do. They make the Kindle and ebooks. So I'm going to add that to my notes. Just bullet pointing the key facts, not writing complete sentences. This is to avoid plagiarism. So Kindle online books. All right, and they said it started in 1995, which is slightly different. Again, just writing who, what, when, where, why. Bullet point ideas. Amazon also creates television shows that it distributes online. The company has pioneered cloud computing. That is the storage of data and use of software via the internet rather than on the user's computer. Many businesses pay to use Amazon's cloud computing services. Amazon operates in almost every country in the world. Well, that's a very interesting fact. You often hear the term, I'm going to store it in the cloud. So our computers have hard drives, but they are limiting in space. Plus, if you're not at your computer, you can't access that information. So if you save things in the virtual world, in the cloud, like Amazon is offering, you can access that information from anywhere you are, as long as you have access to the World Wide Web and your password into Amazon. So I think that's pretty cool information. I'm going to add that into a what feature. How should I word it? Created a cloud, and I might want to explain what that is, and online storage for you to save your documents, etc. Okay, remember, I'm just bullet pointing, so I'm going to go ahead and add bullet points just so I know that's what I'm doing here. There we go. Reformat just a little bit. Ooh. To save. Ooh. An online storage for you to save your. That's why it's wrong. Yeah. Back to the reading. We already know they operate in almost every country of the world, but again, sometimes it's good to verify your facts. So maybe I should say almost. Amazon product recommendation software has been one key to its popularity with consumers. When a person purchases a product, Amazon displays relative products using special software to predict which items the customer might want to buy. That is so interesting, because if you ever were online and all of a sudden you were searching for a PlayStation game or something like that, and all of a sudden all of your online services, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, will start showing you ads on those similar products. So Amazon seems to come up with some sort of software that does that. So if you type in one thing you're looking for, it recommends 5 others to try to get you to buy more things. So that's very interesting we can add. Amazon's website also enables customers to read samples from books and to view products from multiple angles. In addition, customers can leave product reviews and read reviews by others. So those type of things were not done when I was little. When I would go, even when the World Wide Web started, I was in college, and I remember going to Toys R Us, and you could open up the product and look at it, but it didn't give you all this information. So that's really interesting. That we can add. Sure, we can add, how can I word this in my own words? So Amazon gives product reviews, maybe. Lots of pictures and descriptions. It's pretty good. Again, I'm bullet pointing and just putting key ideas down, not copying verbatim, putting things in my own words, just trying to answer what they do. In 2007, Amazon introduced its Kindle ebook reader. The device enables users to download text directly from Amazon in electronic format. Kindle spurred the company's sales of ebooks. Amazon also enabled authors to self-publish their works, distributing them via Amazon.com. By 2011, Amazon was selling more ebooks than print books. Now, this is fascinating because we know that books are published by companies. So an author, I have a book right here called Wish Tree, and the author is, let me share my screen to show you, share my video. Here we go. So I have a book right here called Wish Tree by Catherine Applegate. She wrote the book, but she had to find a publishing company to publish her book. And of course, when we open up a book and we go to the title page, I'm using this book for a book club. Here we go. If we go to the title page, at the bottom of the title page is very hard to see. That's the publisher. That's who put the book together. In this case, it's Fowell and Friends in New York. If I turn to the back of the title page, this is called the verso. And if I look very closely, I find the copyright date. See the C, and it was published in 2017. Well, what they're saying here for Amazon is that if Catherine Applegate wanted to sell this book and no publisher wanted to print it and take the chance that people would buy the book, she could self-publish it on Amazon. I'm going to add that to my facts because that is fascinating. So what was it, 2007? I'm going to go back on that date in a second. Started the ability for people, well, should I say authors maybe, authors to self-publish. That means the people, the author themselves, are taking the risk to publish your book. They might not sell any, or they might sell 10, versus a publishing company wants to sell thousands upon thousands. Let me check that date of 2007. Looks like that's the right date. Self-published. I'm going to keep going on my notes. Jeff Bezos, so we have the author, the company owner again, an American computer scientist and businessman, founded Amazon and serves as a chief executive officer, CEO, president, and chairman. Originally, Amazon stores and packed its customers' books order in a garage in Seattle and then shipped them via mail or package service. So he used to do everything to get his company off and running. Today, orders are shipped from a vast network of warehouses in a number of cities. So again, we have his name, so we can add his name to the research for here. I'll add it over here. Again, using two sources, so in this time we're using the World Book, we're verifying our facts and really being excellent researchers. And of course, World Book, like I said, is a reliable database that you can rely on to use for any type of research you're doing. Bezos has overseen Amazon's expansion into new markets and technologies. In 2013, Bezos announced he plans to use drones, remote-controlled aircraft, to deliver products to customers. In 2014, Amazon released a voice-controlled device called the Echo that connects to the internet and acts as a virtual assistant. The company began exploring motion picture production in 2015 as an extension of its television business. In 2017, Amazon acquired the Whole Foods supermarket chain. Amazon headquarters are in Seattle. So they also own Whole Foods. I'm going to add that. That is definitely a great piece of information. A couple other things I might add that I just learned from World Book. So owns Whole Foods. What did it also say I wanted to add? Oh, wanted to use drones. Now, I remember when that came out, and we were all wondering how that was going to work. And of course, today they're still not using drones, but wanted to use drones to deliver. Okay, anything else? What happened to my World Book? Oh, and the Echo, which acts as a virtual assistant, because you could say, okay, I don't know what buzzword they use. I have Google, but I would say, okay, Google, and say something. Well, they have Echo. Maybe it's, hey, Echo, can you set the alarm for 3 minutes? And it would start doing that. So that started in 2014. I definitely want to add that to my notes. 2014 Echo, and I can explain what that is. All right, I feel like I have, there we go. So I finished my notes here on my note paper from my World Book Online, a reliable resource that I started. And here are all my notes. Now it's time to look at the notes from World Book Online, as well as my notes from Brands We Know Amazon, which I got off of Epic, but it is a book that was copyrighted in 2018, and my notes there. I'm going to combine my two notes into a paragraph as my product to present to class that I could either record for my class or present in person. So if you recall, when we go to write, we want to start with a hook, something to get our readers' attention. I'm not going to do a large lesson on this right now, but on the Bitmoji Classroom, I have a little link here to an essay hooks for you to use if you'd like to do that. There you go. There we go. And it gives you some ideas on a hook to get your readers excited about your research and what they're going to read about. You can start with an interesting question. You can start with a strong statement. Here's their example. Online colleges classes are cheaper and more effective than in-person college classes. And of course, then the person would lead into their paragraph about the reasons why it's cheaper and better to go. A fact or statistic. Start your essay with a true fact or statistic about your topic. Make sure it is true. That might be a good way to start this paragraph on the Amazon company. A metaphor or a simile. Write a metaphor that makes a direct comparison between your topic and something different. I think that one might be hard to do. You don't know. I don't know. A description. Write a vivid description of a scene or setting that will draw your reader's attention into your writing. I think that's really good for story writing.
A quotation, this is how I'm going to start today. Begin your essay with a powerful, striking, or memorable quote. I think I'm going to look up the CEO, the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and see a quote that maybe I can start my paragraph with. What was that first one? Interesting question. That might be a good one too. Like, do you know how many countries Amazon delivers to? Something like that. So this is here for you to use as a refresher from lessons you've had in your classroom. For my hook, I wanted to use a quote by the CEO, Jeff Bezos. So I put his name and the word quotes, and I also went to images at the top. I like to use images because then you get a picture with him and his quote. I just find that fun, so I get to know him a little bit. I found one that I thought might work well for the first sentence of my research paper. I'm going to scroll down. This is the quote. Here we go. I wanted it here. This is the one I thought might be good. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not trying. So I'm going to use that as my first sentence and then use my research notes and combine them into my paragraph. So remember, to avoid plagiarism, I need to cite my sources. I need to put things in my own words and practice ethical behavior. So I opened up my Word document here and I took that quote. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not trying. So I started with a hook and I said who said that. Then I'm going to lead into who Jeff is using my notes. I'm going to flip-flop back and forth to my two sets of notes, combining it into my own words. I want you to pause the video and I want you to start your paragraph. Now, don't forget to use a hook to get us excited. Take about 15 to 20 minutes to combine your information into a paragraph. Here are the two slides that we have our notes on that you are going to use for your paragraph. You're going to need to pause the video on each page, take some notes to write your paragraph, then play again and look at the notes from the other one. I would refresh your memory by reading them both, maybe out loud as a class, and then you go ahead and take your time to write your paragraph. For my face-to-face students, you will share these paragraphs on day 3. For my virtual students, you will type your paragraph into the discussion board or link your paper into the discussion board.